everyone. So in this video, we're going to be talking about both. What is domain? Actually, let me write that in smaller. What is domain and what is the range? Now, I covered this in different videos, so make sure you watch all my videos and my notes, guys. Very important. Well, domain is actually always going to be your X. Which X's can you plug in? So what X's can I plug into this graph to get an answer that I want? Well, let's take a look at this one, guys. If we were to look at, let me use it in green actually. Let me do a little less. Look at this. Put a little lasso, put it all green. How about that? Let me get a little smaller. There we go. So look at the green, guys. If I were to look at the X, which is all the X side by side, left to right. If I were to pick this point, am I touching the graph? Yes, I am. If I were to pick, let's say this is a -5. Will I be touching the graph at some point? Yeah. Now, let's say if I were to pick this point, let's say this is a 20. Will I be touching the graph? I know you don't see it, guys, but technically at some point you will, because look at this parabola. This is called the parabola. This graph is actually expanding, getting wider and wider. So at some point, guys, this parabola is going to touch there. So no matter where you go, side to side, maybe you want 1,000,000 over here, like your YouTube channel, 1,000,000 views. Like at some point, you're going to touch the parabola. So if I go on the right side, it doesn't matter. I'm going to touch it eventually. If I go on the left side, it doesn't matter. I'm going to touch it eventually. So is there any X that I plug in and I won't touch the graph? Look, even at 0, I'm touching it. So no matter what I choose for X, I'm always going to touch it. Therefore, our domain is actually all real numbers. All right. Now, range is a little different though. Range is actually talking about the Y. What can I plug in on the Y to touch the graph? Our Y is the one line that's vertical. Well, let's take a look at this. If I were to choose this point, let's say this is a +5. Do I touch the graph? Yes, I do. Look at that. I touch, no matter if I go right or left, I touch it. If I go a little higher, will I touch it? Again, this graph keeps going up. I'm going to touch it eventually. However, guys, what happens if I were to choose this point? Let's say it's -5. Will I ever touch the graph? I will never touch the graph. You know why? Because our graph starts at 0 and it goes up, not down. So the question for range, when do I start getting points on the graph? Well, I start getting them at 0, but not just at 0. When my Y is 0 or going up. Numbers that are going up are higher. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All of these numbers are going to be touching the graph at some point. So when my Y, we get a range when my Y is greater than or equal to 0. And that's basically what you're trying to figure out. When do I start touching the graph? So that's domain, guys. That's the range. So stay tuned with our homework on Khan Academy and reach out to me if you have any questions.